The universe intends that you become the highest manifestation possible for you in this life. And that is the quote of the day. To the Quote of the Day show. I'm your host, Sean Croxton of SeanCroxton.com. Today's episode is brought to you by our very own Jerf Bar. Just eat real food. Clean eating never tasted so good. Available at jerfbar.com. Today, we're getting all spiritual with Marianne Williamson. And what she does today is she gives one of the best analogies I've ever heard for how to plug into the universe and grow yourself while being more connected with others. Here's Marianne.
I want to talk to you today about your relationships, our relationships to each other, but in the context of our relationship to the universe and to God Himself. We're making a mistake if our spiritual conversation is relegated to me or to you. The spiritual conversation is by definition about us. The spiritual conversation is about we. So let's begin by contextualizing the universe and seeing the universe like a house that is wired for electricity. And you and I are lamps. And the lamp could be tall, it could be short, it could be any color, it could be any shape, it could be any design. The power of the lamp has to do with the electricity that causes the light to shine through it. So no matter what the lamp is, if it's not plugged in, it doesn't shed any light. And the light does not come from the lamp. The light comes from the electricity. Now, A Course in Miracles tells us enlightenment is a shift in self-perception, in self-identification, from body identification to spirit identification. If I only think of myself as my body, as my circumstances, as what happens in my life, all about me, all about mine, I'm identifying with the lamp. If I identify with my spirit, I'm identifying with something much bigger than me, something which flows through me, something which extends through me and lights up the entire universe. To the extent to which I think of myself as a lamp whose only purpose is to plug in so that light might shine through me, that is how I actualize and become the lamp that I can be. Now, the universe itself is intentional. So when we talk about my intention for this or my intention for that, that can actually be misused. If we think in terms of the intentionality of the universe, something much bigger is going on. When you have an egg and it meets a sperm, they come together, and then all of a sudden these miraculous occurrences begin to reveal themselves. Cells begin to appear out of this natural intelligence, which is the electricity of the universe. It is intentional. It is so intentional that not only do cells appear, but cells actualize, and then they begin to collaborate with other cells. And the next thing you know, you started with an egg and a sperm, then other cells begin to appear, and the next thing you know, you have a brain. And the next thing you know, you have a spleen, and you have eyeballs, and you have skin, and you have a heart, and you have lungs. This natural intelligence that is emerging and working through these cells. And then the universe, in its intentionality, turns the embryo into a baby. So the universe is intentional, turning embryos into babies. The universe is intentional, turning acorns into oak trees. The universe is intentional, turning buds into blossoms. So this intentionality of the universe, the same intentionality of the universe, an embryo doesn't have to say, I intend to become a baby. The acorn doesn't have to say, I will become an oak tree. Rather, the embryo and the acorn are used by the larger intentionality of the universe, whose intention they are that they become the highest creative manifestation possible for them. So just as the universe intends that the embryo becomes the baby and intends that the acorn becomes an oak tree, it intends that you become the highest possible creative manifestation for you in this life. The universe already intends it. And so as we allow ourselves to be used for the larger intention of the universe, that is how we find our highest self-actualization. Now, this universal imprint is in nature itself. Now, let's talk about how these cells operate, not only from the time they originally emerge in the embryonic form, but also what happens after you're born and these cells continue to operate. The lungs continue to breathe, the heart continues to beat. First of all, the self actualizes. The cell actualizes as the best that it can be. That's first, the self-actualization of the cell. Second of all, collaboration. The cell collaborates with other cells. Third, they collaborate in order to be of service to the higher functioning of the organ and the organism of which they are part. Three things: actualization, collaboration, and service. What happens, however, in the body when a cell says, no, I don't want to? You see, this is the difference between the cell in the body, the embryo, the acorn, and you and me. The acorn doesn't get to say, no, I don't want to. You and I can. We either say, yes, use me, natural intelligence, or don't. And so what happens in the body when a cell says, I don't want to? I don't want to just collaborate with other cells so I can be part of the higher functioning of the spleen. I want to go off and do my own thing. And I'm going to get other cells that think the same way I do, and we're going to build our own little kingdom over here. What do we call that, ladies and gentlemen?
Cancer.
Cancer. It is a malignancy in the body, and it is a malignancy in the spirit. And that is what is wrong with the human race. We have been infected by a spiritual malignancy. And that spiritual malignancy it's all about me. That spiritual malignancy is, I'm just here to get what I want and do what I want. It's not about like actualizing so that I can be my best, so that I can collaborate with you. And then we wonder why our relationships don't work. We're making it all about me, but somehow I want a good relationship with you. So how's that supposed to work? But actualization and collaboration and service are the key to right relationship because they are the way God operates, natural intelligence operates, whatever word we are using by which we understand these things. Now, the universe in its intentionality, like we were saying, the universe intends this natural intelligence of the cell to become all that it can be and then to collaborate with others. And the cancer cell, the malignant cell, is the cell that somehow goes insane and it disconnects from its natural intelligence. That's what happens to us when we disconnect from our natural intelligence. We are like lamps that are not plugged in. That is why we meditate. That is why we pray. That is why we have spiritual practice to plug in. That is why we wake up in the morning and we don't just say, what do I want? You know, sometimes I've heard people talk about intentionality in terms of a business meeting. Think about this. If your relationship at a business meeting is that you are asked by someone, what is your intention? And you say, my intention is that I sell 500 units of this product. That's my intention. But let's talk about what that means. That means you're going into the business meeting. Your intention is to sell 500 products. That means you are actually subconsciously programming yourself to manipulate and exploit the person in front of you so that they will buy those products. That is the sickness of our society, that we have become transactional rather than relational. And that's why may God's will be done. May God's will be done means may all loving thought for all living things, past, present, and future, now occur here. Knowing that when love is present, natural intelligence flows through. That's what it means for the lamp to be plugged in a moment of love. If your intention in any situation is to give love, you know, when Oprah talks about her show, what is the intention that lifts it up to the highest? I actually heard her once say, as soon as I get something wonderful, my first thought is, how can I give it away to everybody else? Now, that is so much bigger than the intention of what we associate with someone who's successful. It's a cosmic intention. If it's only your intention as you, then it's low-level vibration. And by the way, if that's your low-level vibration, yes, you will collaborate with other cells, but you will collaborate with other cells as sick as you are. So what we want to be open to is the intentionality of the universe. The highest expression is, dear God, use me. Dear Spirit, use me. Dear love, use me. Now, the universe is already intentional. The universe intends that you become the highest manifestation possible for you in this lifetime. And so it has a tool by which this is accomplished, and it's called relationship. First of all, if I'm only thinking about me, I'm not in my right relationship with God, spirit, natural intelligence, because my right relationship with natural intelligence or love is that I be used to receive that love and then extend outward. So if I'm in right relationship, you make spirit your primary relationship. If your spirit is your primary relationship, then your relationship with other people will be correct. If your relationship with spirit is unaligned, your relationship with other people would be unaligned. Correct. But if your relationship with spirit is aligned, use me as an instrument of love. So then I don't go into a relationship with you trying to sell you something, exploit you, manipulate you, or in any level, even the most subtle levels, try to get what I want. It's so trendy these days. What are you looking for in a relationship? What is it that you want? What is it that you want? Which is really saying, how can I get other people to serve my needs as I define them? But that, by definition, means that I see myself as separate from you, which by definition is a core belief that makes me not in relationship with you. Anytime I define myself, anytime we see ourselves as separate from others, you are by definition not talking about the level of your ultimate reality, and your ultimate reality is the level on which you are already one with other people. You don't have to create intimacy. You simply sink down into that place where how much more intimate could we be than that we realize we are each other.